gonna meet the connection.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good too. Making sure.
What was that?
No, sorry, just making sure that my connection is, you know,
Good.
it's working well. How's been the week?
The week has been good.
Excellent. Excellent, excellent. Has there been good attendance?
Yeah. I don't know the exact numbers myself, but yeah.
Very good. Yeah. Do we have any sense for how many people are registered for today, or?
I think I can see that. Give me a second.
Sure. By the way, not thinking that it's going to be too large, given that it is Friday at 3 p.m. Trying to figure out what's better.
Yeah, it looks like right now we have about 12, but I know our usual numbers run in like 15 to 20.
About 15 to 20. Okay.
Yep.
And can you hear me okay? I feel like once in a while my connection is being a little slow.
I haven't heard you cut out or anything yet. No.
Okay, good. Good, good, good. You know what? I think I'm sharing the wrong thing.
Don't mind me. There's two of me right now. Gonna mute myself there. Okay, can you quickly, am I echoing still?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. Holy cow, go away. Sorry, this is being real picky to me.
Hey, no problem.
Okay, real quick, can I have you just pronounce your name for me? Just want to make sure I get it right.
Yes. So, Adriana Cisneros Basulto.
I am so sorry. My mic was muted on this other computer.
No worries.
Okay, can you do your name one more time for me quick?
Sure. Adriana Cisneros Basulto.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. And then what are your pronouns? Do you use she, her?
hers.
Okay.
Ella.
All right. For the Q&A, do you prefer to answer those as they come in, or do you prefer just to set some time aside at the end?
I have saved some time at the end to answer any questions that there might be.
Okay. Cool. I have a small script that I am going to read off at the beginning, and then I will hand it over to you when I'm done with that, okay?
That sounds fantastic.
All right, we're going to give it a couple seconds for everybody to get in, and then we will get started. All right, I think we've kind of evened out. We are going to go ahead and get started since we're running just a few minutes behind. My name is Allie. I am one of the technologists at DoSpace, kind of helping out the programs team for Start Omaha Week. I just want to thank you all for joining us. Today we are featuring, I never have this one ready, just never do. So the pandemic pivot, launching a future of work startup in 2020. Some quick housekeeping items here is all questions need to be asked in the Q&A feature or in the chat. We did set aside some time at the end of this, so your questions will be held in kind of in hold until then. Be respectful if you want to leave a comment in the chat, and if you'd like to watch this program again, the recording will be posted on our DoSpace YouTube page about a little later in the week. Usually it takes about 3 to 5 days. As a reminder, after each program, make sure you head over to Beanstack, which is our community engagement platform. There you can mark that you've attended the webinars throughout the week, which will enter you in to win some prizes. We're giving away 3 gift cards to local businesses and 1 headshot session as well. You can do this at dospace.beanstack.org. I will be pasting some links into the chat in just a moment here. Today, we have with us Adriana Cisneros Basulto. She is the founder of Maxwell.app, an employee-centric perks and benefits platform that helps teams crush it at work and home. She's also the co-founder of Forward Collective, a group of startup founders, corporations, and thought leaders committed to creating practical solutions for the new workplace, and an all-raise visionary voices speaker. After a 15+ career in the corporate world and leading the inclusion and diversity efforts for the largest private bank in the US, Adriana decided to leave the corporate world and use her experience to create tangible solutions to level the playing field at her work. Her vision, a world in which excelling at work and living a fulfilling life is possible. I will hand this over to Adriana and we will get started.
Thank you so much. And thank you so very much for having me. I really appreciate it. First and foremost, I want to apologize if my connection is a little bit wobbly. Unfortunately, it keeps coming on and off. And also I want to apologize for the light that's behind me. Hopefully that's not too distracted. I'm actually not at my usual place. I'm traveling, but I could not think of there's very few other places that I would rather be at 3 o'clock on a Friday than sharing with you about Maxwell. So hopefully you've been having a fantastic Start Omaha work week and are ready to close it with me. As it was mentioned, the title of this session is Pandemic Pivot, launching a future of work startup in 2020. My hope is that by sharing our story around Maxwell and the things that we have learned over this year, you can also use it to, start your own journey in entrepreneurship or continue it if you have already started it. With that, let me share a little bit of what I'm going to cover today. First, I'm going to cover a little bit about Maxwell, who we are, how it works. Then I'll share with you where we started, because really where we are today is very different than the place where we initially began. Then I'll cover what has been the impact of COVID-19. And last, what are the lessons that we learned that we think that are actually lessons that others can take into consideration and learn from in other people's shoes, in this case, ours. So let's start with Maxwell, who we are and how it works. As it was shared, we are uh, really how we like to describe it in a concise way is that we help teams crush it at work and at home. And we do so by providing the type of benefits that employees actually want. Benefits and perks that are actually going to help them um, gain back time, focus on the work that only they can do, and find time to recharge because they're going to be very employee centric and specific to the types of things that they value and care for. And it's going to become a little bit clearer as we go on. So about Maxwell, as he was mentioned earlier on, we are on a mission to create a world in which human true potential is not squashed by the daily demands of work and life. How we do this is what you see here on the screen. We make it easy to care for and retain teams by providing them with the benefits they want, regardless of where, when, and how they work. So in a nutshell, we crush it. So you can crush it too. Now, when I talk about what employees really want, and when we talk about future of work benefits, which is part of what the title of this this presentation is, let me cover a little bit of what the statistics say and the reason why we have taken this approach. So what you see here is a few statistics that are relevant to the topic. But I'll start with a couple other ones that are not listed here. One is that the top priority of executives in the US in recent months is actually maintaining productivity. How do you continue to keep your teams engaged and productive? At the same time, one of the things that we've been hearing, and it has only increasing in percentage, is that teams or employees are feeling burnout. They're feeling like they've been stretched thinly for a long time. In fact, about 75% of employees report experiencing burnout. So those are good context to have because of the statistic that you see here, around 33%. What is that 33%? 33% is the percentage of annual salary that it costs a company on average when someone quits. That is on average, but it could be as much as 213% for the most senior leadership positions. And it comes from a combination of things, but it's actually pretty simple to understand if you think about the fact that when someone leaves your organization, you're going to have to retrain them. You're going to have to, basically start from scratch again. So there's a ramp up time and cost. The more senior the position is, the more repercussions it has also in terms of team management, experience that they might have, or portfolio they might carry with them. Okay, so that's, again, I gave you the context of what's happening in terms of priorities, what employees are feeling, what is the cost associated with that. So then if we think about, okay, so looking at it now from the lens of benefits, what is it that they're really looking for? What is it that they would like to see their employers provide? And you can see three statistics here. The first one is that 93% of employees say they want the ability to customize their benefits, that is a must. Long gone are the days of cookie cutter benefits. As individuals, as consumers, we have grown accustomed to experiences that are very unique and personalized to ourselves. We have come to expect the same from our benefits. If I'm not a parent, I don't want parent-related benefits. If I'm a pet owner, maybe I want pet owner-related benefits. Just to give you a couple of examples. The second statistic is that 83% of millennials, which are actually now one of the highest percentage of those in the workforce, would change their work. They would change employers for family and lifestyle benefits. So again, those benefits that are going to make it easier for me to balance my work, my life, all of it. And then the third one that you see here is that 94% of today's employees want benefits and perks that enhance their quality of life. So not only that I'm able to balance it, but that is actually providing well-being, that is making my life that much more high quality than it is. Okay, so with that context around what we do, why we are doing it the way we're doing it, now let me talk about how it actually works. What is it exactly that Maxwell does? So I'm going to use an example, and you'll see the 3 steps here. The first step is we talk with employer, and we're going to call this employer ABC. Employer ABC designates who are the eligible employees for Maxwell. They set the benefits. By that, we mean they designate which benefits that they already offer today from their traditional list of benefits, such as dental, vision, you name it, do they want to bring into our platform? And at the same time, they also designate which benefits of the curated list of lifestyle benefits and perks that we offer via Maxwell do they want to offer their employees. And then ABC company decides how much budget do they want to provide their employees. It could be all of their employees. They could segment it by role. And this budget happens on a quarterly basis. The second step is that employees actually access their budget on the mobile app, so Maxwell's mobile app, and they choose how to use it. So now the employee of ABC is actually able to see, oh, I have $1,000 per quarter. Employee Tom, he's actually not a parent, but he's a pet owner. And he actually spends a lot of time doing laundry that he'd rather spend actually riding his bike and recharging with friends. So he chooses to use those $1,000 in pet transportation services, in laundry services. So the weekends, he can actually spend them rather than taking his dog to the vet and catching up on laundry. Like I said, staying healthy, going for a run, going for a bike ride, spending it with friends. Versus employee Mary, who actually happens to be a parent, has kids. So the laundry service actually sounds like a pretty good deal for her too, but she doesn't have pets. Instead, she uses her $1,000 on healthy meals that are going to make it easier for her to focus during the week on work. So when she comes home, she has meals for her family ready to go. And then the third step is that Maxwell keeps track of usage. So there's no needs for expense reports, either for the employee or for the HR department. What makes Maxwell different? What makes Maxwell different is that the first one is something that I already mentioned, which is that it integrates both the benefits that employers already offer with new lifestyle benefits and perks. And that way, is the second bullet point, they actually, the HR department doesn't need to be creating new relationships with new vendors that are going to offer lifestyle benefits and perks, managing, administering them, because they can get them all in one place. And all of these lifestyle benefits and perks are those that are going to free their team and are their team's time and are going to promote well-being. And the third one is tracking employee well-being and productivity, which is something that we do at an aggregate level for the employer. So they have the data that they need in order to make future decisions. Usually people have a little bit of a hard time imagining what is it that we really mean by traditional benefits versus lifestyle benefits and perks. So here are a few examples. On the traditional side are things like health insurance, dental, 401k, HSA. Maxwell is able to integrate with them at this point. And that means that now, remember Tom and Mary, when they come into Maxwell, they click on it and they're able to see, oh, my employer actually offers health. If I click on that, it tells me a little bit more information about that. And then if I click further down, then I'm able to actually be redirected to its website and log in. Or maybe it's about the on-site gym. So I'm able to see like, oh yes, my employer has an on-site gym. Click on it, I get a little bit more information about the on-site gym, maybe where is it located, what are the hours, how can I access it? So that's on the traditional side. On the Maxwell's curated lifestyle benefits and perks side is all the things that you see there, and they continue to grow. Now, one important thing to mention is that all those benefits and perks that Maxwell has curated are actually not services that are provided by Maxwell, but rather we partner with experts on the field to provide them. Those that are providing the meals, that are doing pet transportations, there are other companies that actually already perform these services, sometimes direct to consumer. And we partner with them and collaborate to be able to offer them all within the Maxwell platform. Therefore, making it easier, like I mentioned, for HR and employers to have a variety of relationships, but all managed through a single vendor, which is Maxwell, and also making it easier for the employee that it's the user, because now they don't have to be using a variety of apps, entering their names over and over again, or their address. And furthermore, they're able to use the budget that their employer has provided as well as use their own personal funds if they use all their budget on it. There's one other thing that we do from a Maxwell standpoint that differentiate us from other solutions, which is that we really are looking to upgrade benefits, communications, and data for them. So we reinforce what are the benefits and the well-being messages that they want to get out to their teams via the app. So the way they get them via medium that they're accessing on a daily basis. And we also reduce the communications workload for their team because we handle launch, communications, and collateral. Still aligned, obviously, to their employee value proposition and the way that they speaking some in the language that's going to make most sense for that company without the workload that comes along with creating something from scratch. And we also have an upgrade from the data perspective because we can bolster the HR team's understanding of what employees actually value and need through the aggregate data collection that we have, which again, I want to emphasize that it's aggregate, as well as easy access to what are the levels of productivity and well-being for the teams as a whole, so they can understand where else might they need to be making investments. One more thing to mention from what is it that Maxwell is and how it works is that our goal is also to provide a medium for HR teams, employers at large, to be able to celebrate milestones and anniversaries, provide rewards and recognition for good performance. That is actually going to be in a way that employees value. So instead of getting a plaque for being there for a year or maybe 5, and a plaque that you're probably going to put for a little while on your desk, but likely you're going to shove on a drawer for the long term, give them something that is going to provide value to them because it's going to give them back time. And the same thing goes from employee referrals or from a life cycle support. So by employee referrals, obviously that's a little bit clearer. It's motivating employees to make referrals for other people to come over and work at your company. But then from a life cycle support is providing also some tangible help that is going to make the transition back to work, for example, after parental leave or bereavement, easier, which are times, in particular parental leave, where employers are likely to lose individuals because it's a hard transition. Okay, so that really covers what Maxwell is today and how it works. But now I would like to talk about the fact that this is not where we started. This is not how it looked to begin with. And to walk you through how that has changed and why. So we started actually with a much narrower focus. We started with a very specific focus on high performance only. And how could employers provide a benefit, a solution that would support their high performers and retain them? Since then, we broadened our scope and have realized that Maxwell has more uses than that it can be used beyond just the high performers, that it can use for all the other things that I mentioned before, and really from the C-suite to the front lines. The second thing that is different from where we started is how we decided to do the work. To begin with, we thought that we were going to rely heavily on individual contractors to do work, so which we were calling MaxForce as a collective. Individuals being able to pick up the work. So if I was someone that, was interested in doing personal assistant services or errands, that I could sign up for that, obviously be validated, be background checked, but that then I would be able to claim different types of work. Versus using our partners. We thought our partners might be something that we could do in the future, but we saw it as a very distant possibility that we would have to work for. Today, as I mentioned, is actually the opposite. We rely very heavily on our partnerships and collaborations for them to be the ones that provide the services, because ultimately, when they are successful, we are successful, and vice versa. We're helping them reach a new customers and new sources of revenue, And they are helping us provide a variety of services that otherwise we wouldn't be able to. And then the third thing that was different from where we started to today is that we saw it as an additional benefit. We didn't see it as an integration of benefits. And I'll talk a little bit more about this on the next slide. You can also see here that how it looked very different from a UX perspective to how it looks today. So now, why is this presentation called Pandemic Pivot? And that is because we found that the global pandemic actually brought forward a lot of opportunities and new considerations that we hadn't had since before we launched. To give you a little bit more context that I didn't give at the beginning, Maxwell launched officially August of 2020. So we launched right in the middle of the pandemic. We had been working on the concept for a while, and it was in March that we were starting to close on who were going to be the early employers that were going to pilot Maxwell. And that's when we all learned that they're, about COVID-19 and everything else that has come with it. Now, COVID-19 ended up creating a few places of impact. So the first one is that it intensified an old problem. For many, the ability to maintain productivity and really, like I mentioned, be able to crush it at work and at home has been elusive. It has been really hard, in particular for those that do not have someone else at home to take care of everything else, because the systems of support that exist require a lot of work on the part of the individual. And let me not be cryptic. I'll give you a very specific example. So if you are someone that is, for example, a parent, then you are having to manage not only being at work on time and being productive, but everything that comes along with parenting, taking kids, to daycare or to school, or relying on family to do so, picking them up on time, after work, being able to take care of them, of feeding them, of putting them to bed. And I'm using kids as an example, but this could very well be, caring for an adult, your older parent, or maybe a sibling. Now, it had been hard since before COVID-19 to make all this work. But like I mentioned, COVID-19 really intensified that old problem. It really broke the systems of support that people had been relying on. It made it such that schools were no longer available in person, at least not for the vast majority of people. That relying on grandma or a friend to take care of kids, or or a provider for elder care became a liability, and you were putting potentially at risk your family or someone else's family. So you couldn't really rely on that either. So that's an example of that intensity that came in terms of an old problem of work-life balance. And then the second, it also created new problems. So the new problems now were not only how do we support our employees, but how do we support them when you're having these employees work in completely different locations. So that's why I have that image there around traditional benefits not made for today. So if you have a workforce that is mostly working remotely, or a hybrid workforce, how can you support them when no longer the on-site gym is available to everyone? Or maybe the dry cleaning services that you offer have become obsolete. Or further, what is it that they really want? What is it that employees really care for? Do they really need, where do they really need your support? And the third one is what you see there, which is that it really accelerated the future of work. So for a long time, there has been conversations in the HR space about how benefits were going to be more employee-centric, this concept of a la carte benefits where you get to choose what is it that you use. For a long time, there has been conversations about more flexibility at work, being able to work remotely. But there had been really slow progress towards that in the vast majority of companies. Because of COVID-19, all these moved really quickly. companies that thought that it would never have been possible were forced to make some choices around flexibility and remote work. And with that, new problems were created. So what does that mean from a Maxwell standpoint? How has this created some opportunities for us? And what are the lessons learned that we believe that are also translatable to others that are really looking forward to either start or to continue on their journey? Well, the first one is, the first opportunity that got presented to us is that ability to solve for the future of work. Like I mentioned before, we were starting from a very focused place, right, of high performers. These provide us with an opportunity to, because we were early on, because we were a startup, because we're flexible and we're agile, and we were willing to be creative. We were not like a big ship that had to move really slowly. We could move pretty fast because we're a small little raft. We could be solving for those bigger issues, for how do you provide, those benefits for those that are located in multiple places? How do you provide benefits that are actually relevant to the current workforce? And how do you do it beyond what we initially began with, which was a very small group? The second opportunity that has come for us has been, it has accelerated our partnerships. Like I mentioned earlier, we began with this concept that where we thought it was going to have to be heavily reliant on lots of contractors picking up work. But the pandemic allowed us to partner with startups and other more established businesses that either were just looking to create new sources of revenue and customers, or were looking to expand them. You can see some of our partners here. What I will say is the third one that it has allowed us to do, it has provided for us an opportunity, as you heard initially, to partner with other startups that are focused on creating better workplaces. And that's why you see Forward Work Collective here, which you can find at forwardwork.co. It has provided us the opportunity to co-found that and really also use the power of many to create solutions for the workplace, so that COVID-19 becomes an opportunity rather than just the pain that it has brought along with it. That we can take advantage of this pivotal point in time and create better workplaces for all. In terms of lessons, what I would like to share, which I think is applicable to everyone else, is that changes in the market are an opportunity to be seized. Changes in the market are actually the perfect time to start, if you haven't started, or to continue your journey, because there's new needs that others aren't necessarily addressing, so you have an opportunity to address those. And the second is this idea of partnership and collaboration, because when the tide rises, all the boats float. And this is true in every space. I believe that through all of our partnerships and all the collaborations that we've done with other startups in the ecosystem and beyond, and by ecosystem, I mean the ecosystem in Nebraska, but beyond, that is only strengthening the power of us collectively, is only strengthening our ability to provide true solutions, and our ability, our opportunities to actually, like I said, make the tide rise for everyone. So I guess the message I would leave you with is that not even a global pandemic should stop you. If you have an idea, if there is a problem that you're trying to solve, this is the perfect time to do it, because there's lots of new problems that maybe they already existed, but they're shifting, and there might not be solutions for it. And the second is that there is power in collaborating and partnering with others. With that, I will open it to any questions.
Perfect. Well, I don't see any questions. So if that is all good, thank you so much for Adriana for
Absolutely.
joining us. And I think that actually ends our Start Omaha week. So have a good rest of your day, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's been an honor. Please feel free to connect with me via LinkedIn and make sure to visit us at maxwell.app.
Awesome. Thank you again. Have a good night, guys.